Scarfe. I work at Industrial Park. It's our major research and development site. It's a large site. It is 100 acres. There are 3,000 BT people on there, and I'm proud to say we've got 39 different nationalities within the research department. We did get stopped from saying we've got to employ somebody from a different country to make it 40. But I'll give you a bit of perspective. I joined BT several years ago. I'd come straight from university. My first job at BT was looking at quality of voice across transatlantic networks, which is fairly fundamental to what we were doing. We didn't have customers, we had subscribers. It was monopoly. We were doing everything ourselves. I moved on to doing computer-aided design. We created a process that would automatically take a logic design and put it into an integrated circuit. And we manufactured them in the plant on site. Thankfully, we don't do that anymore. And we've moved much more into a different world. We used to be, all of the people on the site were researchers. We did everything ourselves. Manufacturing, even that was research at that time, gallium arsenide and submicron and the whole business. The next sort of stage is we started working a lot more with universities, getting the bright ideas, getting the future thinking in. Got a lot of great ideas from universities. We then moved into an almost a privatization phase. How do we privatize what we do on site? How do we spin off companies? And we started some of the great ideas to spin them out. Have you come across Cytechnics? Anyone here from Microsoft? No, right, I might be on safe ground here then, because I think they've bought the license from Cytechnics now. We looked at quality of voice to produce a subjective measure of how good voice was over a network. When voice over IP came in, that could kill our business. So we worked and looked at something different. So how can we do that automatically, look at quality of voice? You'll find Link system and OCS now involve quality of voice as a metric. And I believe that's from Cytechnics. So that's a company we spun off. Today we work and no longer do everything ourselves, no longer purely research, and it's a case of working with partners, working with other businesses. And we do go out to companies and try to work with them and say, look at our innovation process, can you join in with it? Can you get some benefit out of it? And really, well, this is a summary of what we've got on site. 3,000 employees, 20 plus companies now. That's the major guys such as Cisco are on site, Huawei are on site, and there's also startups, small technology companies. We help to start their business. We're going to increase the size of the site. We actually own 200 acres. We're going to put 2,000 more jobs on site here in the technology area. So this is growing. So lots of money spent there as well. Really, this is what we're about. Open innovation. No longer doing it ourselves, working largely with other companies. At the back end of site, you'll have seen a building there. We do extensive testing. That's 24/7. We model our entire network on site and keep that running. And innovation methodology, which we claim is world leading. We do a lot of innovation scanning. We've got people out on the west coast of the USA looking at companies, and where necessary we will buy them in. A company called Ribbit.com, have you ever come across it? We paid just over 100 million for them, and they now give us an application interface into communications, so that from a PC with a simple piece of code you can make it voice work, set up phone calls, you can set up text messaging, all that sort of stuff goes on behind. Company that we thought was good, so we bought it. A lot of co-invention with customers, and I'll come across that in a little bit more. Great technology this. This is the underlying message though. This is where a lot of the transformation came from. IP not meaning IPR or anything like that. Internet protocol, internet working protocol. how computers talk to each other. Fundamental change. At the same conference, one of my colleagues was there saying, we will never get video quality broadcast, quality video across an IP network. 5 years later, he was at the same conference and delivered it. We now carry 16,000 hours of broadcast quality every single day. So that's the rate at which change is happening. Really, this is what it's about nowadays. Can you remember back here? Well, back here. We're looking at something totally different. Can you remember the first mobile phone? Mobile because you could put the battery in the car in the boot. Now we're talking about something. Who's got one mobile phone only? See, less than half the room, which is a bit strange, and that's the way we're changing, because this sums it up to me. Everybody's on the mobile phone, cameras, photographs, the lot, it's all happening. Come on. And customers are changing radically too. Do any of you deal with real customers? Have you noticed the way they're changing? We've done a survey recently, and one of the things we said is, what's loyalty to you? Is it customer satisfaction? Only 42% said yes. This is the big driver nowadays. I do business with companies that are easy to do business with. I'm no longer loyal to you because you've been great for me, because I know he over there can do something similar. And if I can do it more easily, I'll go to him. How does that play in your business? What does that lead to your thinking? We're looking at mobile devices. This, I think, is going to make the customer even more painful. Smartphones. In the last quarter of last year, more smartphones were sold than laptops. We're getting the computing power in the palm of our hands. Now, if I go to a shop or somewhere where I want information, if there's a queue, I'll start looking at the smartphone, looking at the details, getting the information. And lo and behold, if that guy at the front tells me a different answer to what's on their website, I'll tell him. That's not what it says on your website. The questions are getting harder. The guys that deal with customers are being challenged harder and harder. So, just coming back to where we are as a company, BT, I work in innovative design, and the key thing for me is customers are here. These are the market-facing units. These guys are directing our innovation. We're not just researching for research's sake. It's a case of what is going to make a commercial difference. Exactly what Chris said earlier on. Innovation, I think you said it as well, Adrian, innovation has got to have that commercial capability. So if we develop something, and we develop most of the stuff that goes out, it's got to have commercial. Business acceleration. We want to do it faster. It's always, to me, it's the speed of life. Innovation at the speed of life, and I want to do it quicker. We've got processes in place that will allow us to do it now, and we can execute and deliver. We had, I'll talk about hothouses in a minute, we had a hothouse that saw an opportunity and would produce the product within 6 weeks. It was an application that went out as a mobile app, first off on iPhone, and it was the top seller within 2 or 3 weeks. It was free of charge, but it was one of the top sellers there. That's the way innovation can go out there. Have you used iPhones on wireless networks? And you'll find the simple BT application that allows you to get onto Open Zone simply. It's just there, because it makes sense. Come on, point the right way. If we look at the way in which we're thinking of innovation, it's very much a case of I can bring up innovation from anywhere. And the build isn't quite working. Yes, when you're ready. Thought from Benny Hill. Listen to your customers and make sure you are really listening. When we're talking about innovation now, we must have customer involved in it. Whatever it is. But don't just think of that, think of your employees. How many of you work new ideas schemes? Anyone? Pfizer do, right, good. And also think about the mix of people that you engage. I run events at Industrial Park and I talk to a lot of major businesses. I was talking to a finance company a couple of weeks ago, and they said, we have young graduates come into our business. When they come in, we send them around all departments. They spend 6 months in each department. And this guy was telling me, one of the guys that came into the IT section said, this is boring. I've been here a month, I know loads of stuff, and you're just making me like the rest of them. I've got new ideas. And they actually took him out of the process and said, right, start getting those ideas. Because these fresh new people have got great ideas. And I recommend you give them the opportunity to give you the ideas, but for goodness sake, don't give them responsibility. Because they will screw your company. We also believe in an agile approach. We operate agile development. Have any of you come across agile development? A couple of nods. We operate it vigorously. And for us, this means we have a 90-day process. Elnor Ramji came into our business and said, how long are your IT projects taking? 2, 3 years was the answer. He said, right, I'm not prepared to accept that. 90 days. You have got to have something that's customer affecting in 90 days. That doesn't mean design takes 90 days. It doesn't mean development takes 90 days. The whole shooting match, 90 days, customer affecting. And by the way, in my diary, I'm going to have that end of 90 days. And by the way, on the 91st day, I will go to your customer and say, what happened? Did they deliver? Was it successful? How much was right? How much was failure? And that direction got us up and running in this agile method. He also said it's bonus affecting, which had a fair bit of change as well. Now, thinking about innovation, we now run it as a systematic approach, and I'll show you what we're doing and how we're doing it. We also loving this. Who said Apple was best?
Apple did.
It's also about that point. Think with the end customers. Always think with those, because if you don't, you're going to fail. We were working with a company that runs housing associations, and we said, right, we'll help you innovate. Okay, we'll come along and work with you, was their answer. We said, okay, what is your business problem? We want that written down as a paragraph. Exactly as you're saying, not the solution, not huge wads of it, but a paragraph. And we want you to bring customers along with you. They'd never even thought of doing anything like that. Make sure they're involved. Yep, we've won loads of accreditations, awards, etc. But the real changes are coming here, where we've gone from internal R&D, just looking after ourselves, to working open innovations, customers, partners, businesses, the whole business. Oh, I wish I didn't have this. And this is one I do take a bit of concern about. We're talking about technology being the key to innovation. I don't think it is. You've got to think of customers and how the technology will work for you. It might be that you've had a bit of technology working here and the innovation is actually moving it somewhere else to realise the commercial benefit. We used to be great. 5-year, 10-year plans. Do any of you still have a 5 or 10-year business plan? Any of you find it works? We're now much more into dynamic planning, getting much shorter. We used to be UK focus only. Now, global innovation and using the resources. Does this one ring a bell with anyone? Very much think of a collaborative approach. Move away from just the tribal behaviours. My part of the business is doing well, I don't care about you. This is my process on a page. I might have to explain it, but the prime areas here, customer needs, business drivers, understand them, and then we've got this discovery, articulation and validation. Is this... I'm just checking, sir. Global discovery. We run global scouting. We've got people out in West Coast, we've got people in Israel. Have any of you looked at technology coming out of Israel?
Yeah.
Tremendous source. The capabilities of students at school wanting to start up businesses, being CEOs by the time they're 21 and getting money in. It's not just the technology. I'll give you a few examples later on. We've got research and technology as part of our main area. Strategic University Programme. We work with 30 universities from around the globe, the major ones, as well as part-time other universities will help us. There's one undergraduate we recognise as being the star at MIT. Worked with that person, they then came across to Cambridge, which was a bit of a hard sell for us to get them to come across. Both their parents were graduates of MIT and Harvard, so they wanted to stay there. We got them across to Cambridge. They came to us and worked for a summer, looked at our vision, BT Vision, have you come across that? So it's video, TV across telephony. They have come up with ideas about social networking, social behaviour, and implanted that onto our roadmap as to where BT Vision is going. Absolutely fabulous brains, and it's this new ideas, new ways of thinking. Get them involved, get them in there. Collaborative discovery, customer partner, new ideas scheme. You're mentioning about new ideas. We have a new ideas scheme that works within the company. We used to have a system that was absolutely pathetic. We've now estimated it's saved us 250 million in the last 5 years. All new ideas come in through a central point. There are 3 or 4 people who look at the ideas, assess the commercial, the marketing, the scale, and they do that part. They mentor the people that have put the ideas in. They give them points. As we all know, points mean prizes. There's one guy who put in 28 ideas before he hit the jackpot, and the jackpot was £30,000. It's an idea that saved us lots of money and gave him what he thought was a great deal of money. Our engineers are not earning 30,000. We also have experts across the field. There's 14 different areas of expertise where all of the ideas go out. Absolute engagement there, employee engagement. We also have something called a Challenge Cup, which is a customer challenge cup, where teams come together and compete with other teams for good ideas. And if there's a great idea, we'll roll it out to the business. So absolutely involving people. Along the articulation area, we have something called Advanced Technologies Centre. Have you ever tried to persuade a senior exec that this new idea is going to work and given them reams of paper? They don't normally read it all. What we now do is build a prototype, often built with a flash demonstration, often built very quickly, within a matter of weeks, and say, this is what it might look like, what do you think? And people can criticise it very easily and say, this is what I want changed. We recently did a loyalty program for a major retailer, innovation with customers. They wanted a different sort of loyalty program. We put them together some ideas, and we're now working with their CIO, CEO on how to take that out. That's about articulation. We also build working prototypes. Have you come across fibre? Fibre? They put it down and get lots of light over it and great stuff. We discovered, one of our technologists in the lab discovered that if you rub the side of it, you get a certain amount of disturbance. If you convert that disturbance and put it through a speaker, you get sound. We use this technology as a way of defining where, or discovering where cables were, discovering that we've got diverse routes where resilience was required. Initially, the guys were going across the manhole cover and smacking it with a hammer and connected the phone to the other end in the exchange. He said, yep, that's where it's going. He soon learnt that you could actually go across with a transit van, book with hooter, and you'd hear the same thing. So if you see that happening in a city near you, that's what they're doing. That prototype we showed to customers, and they in turn said, if we put this as a security around the perimeter, can we hear people? You can hear noises, yes. It's gone into that market now. Also the generation, energy generators, the electrical plants, said, can I put that around a piece of machinery and hear it and notice sound changes? Yes, you can. And we did a prototype with them. We took part of the national grid down in the UK to test it. Didn't work the first time, the rabbit got at the fibre, so we had to take the grid down again to get it working. We also have a number of innovation showcases, and that's where we bring major customers onto site and take them to look at some technologies in familiar situations so that they can say that would be interesting to us. And then finally, the validation stage. This is very much about working out the commercials, and this will go down ultimately to a one-pager. We sent this team, the people in here, out to work with a well-known battery company. The company had got problems with how do we convert ideas into process, into innovation. We sent these out as boot, and they ran boot camp. We got an awful lot of bad press from the people that were there because they thought it was hard work. The CEO wrote to us and said, this has changed our way of thinking about our way of dealing with new ideas. Great. 2 years later we'd heard nothing from them until an unexpected email came through. We've now got a product in the market called QI. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's about mobile phones recharging the battery by placing them on an inductive system. Yeah. That is the result of changing the way they were thinking about innovation. And actually it's now come into a commercial product. So that's the process that we actually operate now. Quick, we're losing time here. We run hothouses, and this is a key element that I have not seen anywhere else. We run 3-day hothouses, normally 7 in the morning till 7 at night. We have teams of about 8 people competing with one another. So you have your problem statement, you have a customer, you have a marketing, you have a technical guy, you have a whole mix of people, including naive people. Put the same people in, you'll get the same answer out. At the end of day 1, they've just about understood the problem. End of day 2, they are showing prototypes, frequently not PowerPoint. End of day 3, you'll find that the bright guys have pinched the ideas that the guys on day 2 had, put them together to get a substantial solution. We have run this with the MOD, we have run this with companies that are logistics companies. The common response is we have got more out of this in 3 days than we would have done in 6 months. The competitive nature is amazing to watch. Because when you get a team leader, they want to win. So that's how that works. We had one group who were looking at the number of phone calls that we were getting as complaints because of the broadband. One team left at the end of day 1. They went to a DIY shop and built a prototype that we now have out as a product to increase the line speed and get rid of the interference. First time that anyone's left the hothouse. But they did come back on day 3 and show what they'd got. This is an idea of the innovation showcases that we've got. So we've got loads of technologies in each of the environments so that we can show them to people and say, how does this fit in your business? To get the creative juices up and running, to get ideas flowing. And one of the things Chris mentioned there, 3D TV, auto-stereoscopic 3D TV. Philips had the first one about 6 years ago. 2 of their people then got sidelined, and they've now created another company that we believe is creating the next version of a 3D auto stereoscopic TV. That's going to be fabulous when it comes out. Not that I'm prejudiced. Quick view of case studies, because I think I'm running over here. As a company, some of the research we've been involved with social networking. Have any of your companies been tweeted about? Any of your companies been complained about? Familiar with tweeting? The most popular people are the people in the press. Film stars, pop stars. Now when Lily Allen put something up onto a social networking site that's complaining about our company, we had to do something about it. We actually had a process in place that goes across all of the social networks, drags in the information, puts it to a contact centre, and then calls an expert to deal with it. Lily Allen got our CEO. Direct line from a contact centre to Ian Livingstone, called her up and said, what's going on, how can we help? That's the way that we've been enacting with social networking sites. There's now some products coming out that do the same sort of thing. This is what the responses have led. Didn't know BT were looking at this, didn't know you cared. Often tweets are rants and raves, can't do anything about those. But if there's something that we can do constructively, we'll select them and do something about it. We also have trading systems, and some of the guys said, how can I put multiple feeds of data instead of just having huge telephony systems? This was built as a mock-up, and it's now out as a product. So that's changed the way that it's operating. This, I don't know if you've come across these guys, cloud computing. Have you come across Navajo?
Yeah, no, not, yeah.
Israeli company, startup company.
Yeah.
The big thing about clouds, what sort of data is on there? How secure is it? Is it encrypted? These guys are one of 3 companies that we've come across that put encryption inside your enterprise, allow you to transmit data across your firewalls so that if anybody else gets into that application, they can't discover what the data really is. And you've still got the sort and search capability being done in the cloud. So you're not having to bring that all in, translate it, decrypt it, etc. So that's one of the startups that we're getting involved with. Very much a case of data integrity, so that you can potentially put your data in another country, which is often the problem, which is what Chris had said earlier. This is the challenge. Can I get my video working here?
Oh, fine.
There's another startup company that we've come across, IDEMO. Do you get letters from your bank very often? Do you get bank statements? Do you get that sort of thing? How impactful are they? I'd like to press on there, and I'm hoping that it works.
Let's see what happens.
I don't know, where's your mouse? I don't understand.
Just press.
Press what? I'm a PC man, I don't understand these fancy things.
It says it could be harmful.
I'm kind of hoping it's going to run here.
Yeah, it's good. Same length is good.
Bit of sound?
I guess we have to do that.
This movie will present some of your personal financial data. Protect your privacy
They
by
have a
watching it in
template.
private.
You put information
At
into it
Agile Bank,
relative to your
we're
marketing
committed to helping
campaign
you
or
make the most of
information.
your money. Over the last 12 months, you've paid £405 interest on your £4,500 credit card balance. Did you know that you could have paid 33% less on interest alone? Taking a
Imagine
one-year
getting your
Agile loan
statement in
of
this format.
£4,500 could have
It's going to
saved
get you
you
more engaged.
£135 on your interest, which means you could have spent it on your wife, kids, house, or
Okay,
even
bit
yourself.
imaginative.
Click here to choose your Agile loan and start saving today. Agile Bank. Feel the difference.
So we can go back to the other slide, please.
Should do.
So that's very much a startup company that we're looking at and saying, where does this fit in? And we work with a lot of our customers and say, this is innovation that we've found, how does it fit with you? And we will do a scan for a lot of them. IDEMO, select a template, put in personalised data, so it might be some marketing campaign for loans, recent information about you that's personal to you, and then publish it to each and every individual. That was it.